Welcome to the Windows Computer and Technology channel. And, where are we going with Windows 10 after it has end of support? This is a question that was asked a few times, and it's been asked today let's say that we are in October of 2025. We just got the last security update. What's happening? What do I think people are going to do? Well, first of all, I think that by October 2025, a big chunk of the people will have moved on to something else. So that doesn't mean that it's not still going to be on a lot of computers, but Windows 10 will have lost some of its market share for sure with other operating systems. But here's the thing. Where do people go and what drives the market share for Windows 10? So one of the things about Windows is, first of all, it's a business operating system first. About 80% of all Windows machines actually are in companies, are in businesses. The 20% that's left are consumers. And so already it tells you one thing, is that businesses will be moving on. And a lot of people are like, well, businesses are not going to move on. They have to, because Windows dominates because of business. Really because of business. Business has adopted Windows because of its flexibility. And that is a flexibility you don't see on other operating systems. And it makes it also easy to play with and easy to understand for a lot of people, because a lot of consumers have a Windows machine. So it's easy to also recruit anybody that knows how Windows works. If we strictly remove the business, because business will drive Windows 11 and Windows 12 eventually, it will move on because of that. When people say, well, Windows is going to die, you are thinking about consumers. And there could be, I don't see it happening, but there could be a move from consumers, but and there already is in a point. And here's the thing: when people have a computer, it's because they do specific tasks. Once those tasks can be done on something else, they'll often, and that's what we see mostly in that shift of regular consumers moving to something else. We see it because of what they do and how they can do it with other devices. So where are people moving if they're not continuing within Windows? No, they're not going to Linux, and nobody cares about Linux in the standard consumer world. Nobody understands it anyways. It is not where people go. Some might be tempted to go on a Mac computer, but the big majority of people that would leave Windows actually leave because they own a tablet or a smartphone that can do what they want. Because in today's world, you can do a lot on your phone and your tablet. And for most people that actually aren't doing much with their computers, a phone and a tablet is an easy way out and doing what they want, which is what? Surfing the web a little bit, emails mostly, going on Facebook. You don't need a computer for that. You can do it on your phone and you can do it on the tablet. And if we lose people on Windows, they're going towards that direction mostly. So it could be an iPad. It could be an Android tablet. It could be an iPhone, an Android phone of some sort. But for the rest, that will stay. The majority of people will either upgrade their machines, simply buy a new computer. That's the way the big majority of people move on to a new version of Windows, is buying a new computer. And if we look at the fact that 20% of people are on Windows 11 right now, it's, one computer out of 5 it's not a small number. It's a pretty big number. It's not evolving fast, but it's not a small number. So by the time 2.5 years, that 20% will probably be, and we'll have Windows 12 in the mix with it. So we'll have Windows 11, we'll have Windows 12. By the time Windows 10 is at end of support, we'll be below 50%, that's for sure, of users, and maybe even below 40% of users still on Windows 10. Why? Because usually in the last year, that's where the preparation happens and people are really moving faster to something else. They're thinking, well, my system ain't going to be supported, so where am I going? And, the logical thing for most people is, well, I'm going to buy a new PC. And that's with thinking Microsoft will still and continue with its end of support by October 2025. The impact of Windows 11 will be there. Of course, one of the interesting aspects of the future is how big of an impact will Windows 12 be. We know by looking at previous operating systems that people tend to go not to the next, but another operating system after. So they jump one generation of systems. So on, Windows 98, they moved on to the Windows XP. They jumped over Millennium. On XP, they jumped over Vista, went to 7. And for a lot of people, they jumped from 7 to 10. And between, the other systems have a small market share. Millennium had a small market share. Windows Vista had a small market share. And Windows 8 had a small market share. So I expect with Windows 12 coming that Windows 11 will not gain a big market share. It will be one of those small market shares. And it will be Windows 12 that's going to gain the most attention to the next generation of PCs. Now, the number of PCs around the world is definitely big, and it has grown actually since the pandemic. So Windows PCs are here to dominate and continue dominating. Nobody, I see it all the time. Somebody will saying, well, they're moving on to Linux. Nobody moves to Linux. Nobody. The only people moving to Linux are Linux fanboys, which are the majority people posting comments. And enthusiasts like me that like to dabble and play around with, operating systems. We're the ones that, like the computer you see here that isn't compatible with Windows 11. When Windows 10 ends of support, what will I do with this? Well, I'll probably convert it into a Linux machine. Why? Because I don't do a lot with it. And, I still see a lot of people saying, well, it's not true. You can't do a lot with Linux. It's besides the point. To do stuff means if you are using special hardware, if you're using all sorts of different things, need special software. Linux doesn't have anything of that. And so Linux is not for most people. And it is for enthusiasts that, want to go there, and that's fine. So, no, there's not going to be a flock to Linux at all. You won't even see a dent in Linux users in 2025. I can bet you that. But you might see if there is a shift in less people on Windows, it will be because they're moving on to other things like smartphones or tablets. But for the most part, you know what? People will continue and buy new PCs, and that's what's going to happen. It happened in the past, and every system when people weren't happy why they had to move on, they moved on. And that's the way it is. As for being a big e-waste, because I see a lot of comments about that, it's always been a big e-waste. PCs are zero environment friendly. They've never been. They are not today. There are programs where, you can have your PC recycled. But, if you talk about e-waste, computers are e-waste and smartphones are e-waste and tablets are e-waste. A tremendous e-waste problem. So, I don't think that changes anything. It's still e-waste. And yeah, we shouldn't have that many e-waste. And I agree with a lot of people like, well, my PC still works. And yeah, definitely. It's like in the past as a tech guy having to explain to somebody that you just fix your computer, that you got to buy a new printer because that printer isn't compatible with the new Windows. And it's like, well, my printer works. Yeah, I know, but it ain't compatible. You'll have to buy a new one. Yes, it is e-waste. Yes, it is a waste of money also, because often, you're happy with your printer and it worked fine before. It's part of a bad way that technology, unfortunately, is actually working and evolving. If you enjoy my videos, please subscribe, give us thumbs up. Thank you for watching.